Good evening and welcome to the April 28th, 2025 regular meeting of the Tredyffrin Easttown School Board. We'll begin as always with a salute to the flag. Regular school board meetings are business meetings that are open to the public, during which we provide several opportunities for public comment on items before the board. The first comment period is reserved for announced additional agenda items and items on the consent agenda only. Additional public comment will be heard for the actions listed under priority discussion and other actions under consideration. The final comment period, near the end of the meeting, is reserved for all other matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which are or may be before the TESD Board of Directors and which are not covered by the other comment periods. Each public comment period is reserved for residents and taxpayers. Additionally, the board will accept comments from sitting public officials for non-campaigning purposes, and by agreement with the TEA and TENIG, the board will accept comments from the union presidents. All comments should be directed to the board as a whole or to the presiding officer. No comments or questions should be directed to individual board members. All public comments and responses should be in the spirit of civil public discourse. Also, please be aware that intentionally disrupting a lawful meeting or the administration of a government function is a criminal offense in Pennsylvania. The school board values the opportunity to hear from the community in person and appreciates your cooperation in advance. Next on the agenda are student reports. We will hear from our student representative, Maggie Neary.
Good evening. Thank you. So unfortunately, my partner Ian has come down with a terrible case of senioritis and cannot make it to the school board tonight. So I'll be doing this report solo. So spring is a very busy time, a lot of excitement and moving parts in the building. And currently, the DECA Business Club, a club at Conestoga, has sent its finalists to compete to the International Conference in Orlando, Florida. That's where Ian claims to be right now. So if you're tuning in, good luck, Ian, and good luck to all the competitors down in Florida right now. This week is also the seniors' last week of school before their internships begin. Snow Day in May, on Friday, May 2nd, is the official last day of school for the seniors, and they'll participate in fun activities sponsored by the PTO and say their goodbyes. And coming up earlier this week, though, we have our final two spring concerts. This Tuesday is the chorale, and this Wednesday is a jazz concert, both at 7 p.m. here at Stoga. Looking ahead, May 15th at 7 p.m. is a service and leadership ceremony at Conestoga, recognizing Conestoga students that have demonstrated unique acts of service and remarkable leadership. Finally, on May 17th is the long-awaited junior prom, which will be at the Valley Forge Sheraton. It's an incredibly fun event, and ticket sales are ongoing this week, with the final day to purchase tickets this Friday in person. Speaking of prom, the senior prom was last Thursday at the Phoenixville Foundry. It was a major success with high attendance and even higher spirits. This past month and this coming month clearly have a lot of exciting events, but it's worth noting, maybe not as exciting to some students, that as we approach May, we also approach testing season. AP exams will be taking place the first 2 weeks of May, as well as keystones for Lit, Algebra, and Biology. Now moving over to the topic of sports. This past week, the track team has competed at the Penn Relays and did excellent. Boys tennis is already in playoffs, so shout out to Ethan's son who won the Division I singles championship. Congratulations. Also notable, girls lacrosse head coach Amy Orcutt recently hit her 300th win, a very impressive milestone. Congratulations. Lastly, the crew team is preparing for the Soatsbury Regatta, which is held over Memorial Day weekend. Good luck to them. As playoffs dawn, tickets and information about ticketing can be found on the Conestoga Athletics website. I urge everyone to enjoy the great weather we're having and come support our very successful Conestoga athletic programs. That's all I've got today. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. Before we begin the highlights, I'd like to draw attention to the student artwork behind me, which was supplied by Hillside Elementary School for this evening's meeting. Third graders created fish-filled aquariums and learned about, excuse me, one-point perspective, a simple mathematical way of showing size and distance within an artwork. They started their drawings using one dot, indicated the vanishing point at which elements disappear. Third grade students also learned about facial symmetry and proportion to draw realistic self-portraits using their eyes as a guide. Inspired by artist Amrita Sher-Gill, they then used watercolors to explore how color and emotion work together. Kindergartners learned about author and illustrator Eric Carle and created textured painted paper inspired by his style. They used their painted pages to make jellyfish-shaped looms and practiced simple A-B pattern weaving with colorful strips. Now, please join board members Dr. Roberta Hatinsky and Mrs. Susan Audrain and Hillside Elementary School Principal Michelle Staves in greeting students and staff during the highlight session of tonight's board meeting. Special Education Supervisor Katie Parker will be our reader for the evening.
Thank you. Okay, hold on. Do it this way. All right, so boys and girls, when we call your name, we'd like you to go this way to where Mr. Cataldi is standing, and then walk across the front to get your certificate over there with Dr. Torres. Dr. Torres and Miss Roy, raise your hand. Thank you. Okay? And, oh, sorry. Please stop and shake your hands with your board members and Mrs. Staves. Okay. Each month, the Board of School Directors invites TE students and staff members who have demonstrated outstanding achievement to attend the regular school board meeting to be recognized for their efforts. The board invites parents and teachers to accompany their students this evening as the board recognizes them. Those unable to be here tonight will receive their certificates at their schools. All right, ready, guys? Hillside Elementary School students provide new family tours. To start the new school year, Hillside fourth graders hosted building tours for new families to help acclimate them to the school building. These bucket-filling students took time from their summer vacation to help new students and their families make a smooth transition to Hillside. They exemplified Hillside pride with their kindness and shared their expertise as Hillside ambassadors. A big thank you to the following students: Grayson Bass, Devrath Basu, Savannah Donnelly, Kira Doherty, Cullen Goldenberg, Lincoln Hess, Cora Heston, Raynash Jane, Charlotte Jones, Jackson Spotaford, and Lane Tothero. School counselor Karen Kilby and ELD teacher Julianne Kelly coordinated the new family visits and the student guides. Congratulations. Hillside Elementary School students support veterans. Third grade teacher Stephanie Friel coordinated the creation and donation of Poppy Rocks by all Hillside third graders to the Coatesville VA Medical Center. The students learned about sacrifices made by veterans to help us all enjoy the freedom we have in America as they painted rocks to decorate the grounds. Representing Hillside's grateful third graders are James Becker, Sydney Donnelly, Hadley Dorr, and Charlie Trujillo. Hillside Elementary School fourth grade buddies support younger students. During Kindness Week, Hillside counselor Karen Kilby hosted a buddy game event at Hillside. This event involved fourth grade role models playing games with some of the younger students at Hillside during their flex core time. It was a joy-filled way for students to come together in a supervised, inclusive environment where they could model kindness for our younger students. Congratulations to, this is a big list, Samira Agrawal, Ifan Bai, Sanvi Chenamatavuni, Bailey Cooper, Victoria Cordero, Mila Cristani, Andy Farron, Bo Hess, Danny Kim, Alex Lavinia, Asher Nagurney, Mason Simmons, Laura Stocco-Prett, Isaiah Thompson, Lane Tothero, and Mason Wang for consistently demonstrating kindness and contributing positively to Hillside. Hillside Elementary School students help keep school grounds beautiful. On Saturday, March 22nd, several Tredyffrin Township Environmental Advisory Council volunteers worked with Conestoga National Honor Society students and 3 families from Hillside Elementary School to do a thorough trash cleanup of Hillside's perimeter and grounds. Hillside students who participated with their families in the cleanup during their free time on a Saturday morning are Tucker Brown, Connor Dang, Natalie Dang, and Jason McGroarty. Great job, Hillside. Okay. Now for some Conestoga students. Conestoga High School students selected for all state music groups. Congratulations to Conestoga students selected to participate in the Pennsylvania Music Educators Association All-State Band, Orchestra, and Choir. All-State Band, Joe Greenwood and Han Yang Liu. All-State Orchestra, Shannon Beck, Rufy Tang, Audrey Kim, Suri An, Hannah Han, and Lauren Wu. And All-State Choir, Carolyn Morrissey, Claire Arnault, Declan McDonald, and Audrey Wynn. Our student musicians are joined by Conestoga music teachers Casey Hess, Chris Nation, and Nathan Shugart. Conestoga students win first place at Student Journalism State Finals competition. 3 Conestoga students won first place in their respective categories at the Student Journalism Competition State Finals, sponsored by the Pennsylvania School Press Association. Howard Kim, first place sports story writing. Mary Walters, first place editorial cartoon. And Rowan Chetty, first place broadcast writing. Laura Howard, Nicole Zacher-Chemney, and Mimi Turman are the faculty advisors for the Spoke, Conestoga student newspaper. Conestoga chemistry teacher receives Excellence in Teaching Award from American Chemistry Society. Conestoga chemistry teacher Amy Alvarez was selected as a recipient of the Excellence in Teaching Award for pre-college courses, grades 9 through 12, by the American Chemical Society, Philadelphia section. Mrs. Alvarez's dedication to inspiring students and advancing chemistry and chemical education is reflected in both her impact both inside and outside the classroom. Congratulations on this well-deserved recognition. Conestoga Mental Health Specialist receives 2025 Terry Muzzy Educational Excellence Award. Dr. Christine Dunleavy, a mental health specialist at Conestoga High School, has been selected to receive Cairns Treatment Center 2025 Terry Muzzy Educational Excellence Award. This award recognizes an outstanding educator who has demonstrated exceptional wisdom and leadership and has proactively supported and embraced programs that educate students, families, and communities to understand the negative consequences of alcohol or drug use through awareness. Congratulations, Dr. Dunleavy.
Thank you and congratulations to all our students and faculty. Once again, it's called the Highlights for a reason, and it's really great to see all the great stuff that our students and families are doing here in the district. Now, here's the Sorry, update. Here's the point in the meeting where we take a quick break before we go to the business part of the meeting to allow everybody who may not be quite as interested in the business part of our school board meeting to get up and leave to do important things like homework, go to Rita's for congratulations. It's just, I'm just saying. So, but thanks very much, and I hope that you all come back at some point. But congratulations to everybody. We'll resume in about 5 minutes. Go ahead and resume our meeting. Next item on the agenda is announcement of additional agenda items, of which we have none. The next item on the agenda is public participation from district residents and district taxpayers regarding any items on the consent agenda only. If you would like to make a comment on the consent agenda, please line up. When you come to the microphone, state your name and township of residence. We will end the comments with the last person in line. All public comments this evening will be limited to 3 minutes. Again, this comment period is limited to the consent agenda only. To help with the timing, please make your entire comment, and then the board will determine an appropriate response. Do we have any comments on the consent agenda?
How are you? Mike Heberg. I'm a Tredyffrin resident. I noticed on the consent agenda there's an item related to summer workshops about America's 250th anniversary training for some of the faculty members. And I just wanted to commend you for doing this. I was a member of the bicentennial class from this high school, and it was a big deal. It was a big deal throughout the district. I know that looking at what's noted here in terms of the training, it's targeted towards social studies teachers, but I really hope that the district will take the opportunity to use this to celebrate, the birth of the country. So much of it is so close to us. It's a golden opportunity for us to connect our students with this community and its history through not only the social studies curriculum, but the English curriculum in reading books about this, the art curriculum, the music curriculum. I think there's a lot that we could do to really sort of, get these kids excited about where they live. Because it really is it flows through to 2027 when we'll celebrate or recognize a lot of the battles that went on in Chester County, and then in 2028 will be the 250th of really the Winters Valley Forge. So I hope that you all will take the opportunity to really put some resources behind this, to really make a big deal out of it, because it's something I still remember as a kid, and other classmates I've spoken to say the same thing. I hope you'll do that. I also am aware that the Chester County is doing a pretty big push on this, and there are quite a few resources that they have made available. They've developed maps. They've got some technology that they've put together. So a lot of it could be done just by accessing resources that other people have created. So I'd be interested in hearing more of what's planned, but I just wanted to commend you for this initiative and hope that it's very successful.
Thank you, Mr. Hebert.
You're welcome.
Do you have anything that you want to add to that?
No, just as a point of information, the Chester County group has reached out to us, and they've been engaged with the school on the possibilities they could provide as well. So the groups at the township and at the county level are working with the district to try to maximize these opportunities. I look forward to it too. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no additional comments on the consent agenda, we have no other agenda items, so there's no need to amend anything on the agenda. So now we will move on to the consent agenda. Although board action is required, it is generally unnecessary to hold discussion on these items. With the consent of all members, they are therefore grouped, and approval is given in one motion. In the event a board member wants to discuss any item, the board president will move it to an appropriate place on the agenda. A board member may vote nay or abstain with respect to a consent agenda item without the need for removing the item from the consent agenda. The action under consideration is that the Board of School Directors approves the following recommendations on the consent agenda as printed on page 8 of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Right. We have a proper first and a second, so I will call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Ayes have it, 9-0. Before we move on to our next item, I'd like to draw attention to two personnel matters just approved on the consent agenda. First, congratulations to Jessica McCloskey, who has worked as a trainer through Rothman and our assistant athletic director and for many years. We are happy to welcome her as a district employee in the same capacity. Congratulations, Jess. Next, Dr. Jacqueline Rothera will transfer from her current position as TEMS Assistant Principal to a new role as Supervisor of Community and Student Services. Jackie will perform many of the functions of Jeannie Braun after her retirement, as well as other supervisory responsibilities in the Student Services Office. Congratulations, Jackie. And now I will turn to our Vice President, Ms. Sue Titi, who will have a little explanation about our gifts that we've received.
Thank you. We have wonderful PTOs at all of our schools, and they're always so generous. And this month, I'd like to highlight some of the gifts that have come from the Beaumont PTO given to Beaumont Elementary. First, there is a set of picnic tables valued at $5,515 for the yard at Beaumont. Then a digital sign worth $4,000. Then $16,000 in total for flexible seating modules, easels, indoor and outdoor recess supplies, books, and special ed materials also donated by the Beaumont HSA. And finally, a set of walkie-talkies, which are valued at $600. So we thank them for their generosity, and our board secretary will follow up with a thank you sometime after the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Teedy, and as always, thank you to our generous community for their donations to the school. It is the community that makes our district, and so it's really great to see folks when they give back to the district. So thank you all again. We'll now move on to our priority discussion, and that's adoption of the 2025-2026 proposed final budget. The action under consideration is that the Board of School Directors adopts the resolutions that pertain to the approval of the 2025-2026 proposed final budget submitted by the district's administration as printed on page 117 of the agenda materials. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I second?
Second.
Okay. Thank you. I have a first and a second. Business Manager Art McDonald will now present the 2025-2026 proposed final budget. Mr. McDonald.
Thank you, President Kantorsek. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the proposed final budget. That's the next step in the state's process that we're following based on our preliminary budget being passed back in January. So tonight will be proposed final in front of you, and then June, at our June board meeting, will be the final budget. And this budget can change from tonight, so what you're voting on this evening can certainly change between now and June. There's nothing that holds us to what's in here currently. Again, you're just approving an authorized spending amount. You're not approving a tax rate at this meeting. You're only approving an amount for revenue, fund balance and reserve, and expenses per the resolution that's in the board packet tonight. So following that timeline, we're obviously in April. At the end of that, we've had several meetings talking about the budget in finance and budget workshops and board meetings. We put this slide in every year so you can just see the amount of meetings that we have and the amount of time we spend talking about the budget. Development of the budget, again, not a whole lot of changes on this particular slide, but for those that are following along with what we presented at our last meeting, there has been a change in the total numbers that we're showing you on the summary slide, and that'll come up a little bit farther in the presentation. But basically what we did was went back and looked at the salary side of it, which is where the majority of our expenses lie, obviously salaries and benefits. We've done something we don't typically do because we were facing a deficit that's a little bit higher. We took out retirees out of the budget, which we don't usually do. We usually leave those folks in. We took those out and replaced them with staff replacements, obviously on a lower salary schedule. So we're going to work hard to bring those folks in on budget. In addition to doing that, we made some staffing changes that we've discussed at previous meetings, took some folks out, put in some contracted services. So there's a little bit of shifting there. During that entire process of scrubbing each employee class in our precision control module, we found there were some duplicates, some folks made sure those came out of there. And then, of course, 40% of our salary costs are benefits. So the PSERS and the Social Security, those numbers came out of the expense side as well. So you're seeing a reduction in the total budget amount that we're going to be presenting this evening. I put this slide in here just to show you where we are with our capital transfer. We have a $6 million transfer in the current budget we're discussing tonight for 25-26. We're averaging a little over $5 million that you can see over the last couple of years. That's what we moved last year. You can see 23-24, our last actual year. So we're hoping to get to a higher level this year. We have budgeted an amount that's consistent with where we hope to be having a base amount to transfer to the capital fund. We're hoping we get to a larger number in the future. So we'll continue to look at that as we go forward. The tax rate that's included in the budget is the same one we looked at last time we met, with an exception for special ed expenditures in there that little over 0.5% at that $6.8 million of revenue, bringing it into the budget. This slide is really just showing you what 0.1% is and what the amount is all the way down to zero. Tax history slide that we put in every year to look at where we've been, and it has an average there that's right around 3.5%. This is a slide from a budget workshop just to show you where we're falling in equalized mills compared to other districts near the bottom of that group. And it's mostly Chester County, but there's a few other schools in there as well. You are approving a fund balance commitment tonight temporarily. Obviously, we're still going to evaluate this in the final budget in June, but the fund balance amount that's in the resolution is made up of two numbers, basically what you're committing from fund balance to cover the budgeted deficit, and then what you're including as a contingency amount, that $3 million that we consistently put in. So the two amounts that you're seeing on the resolution are the combination of those two numbers. This is the current year projection. This hasn't changed since the last time we looked at it. We went through and did a refresh a week or so ago. There's some minor changes, but nothing significant, but we'll continue to look at that and everything that goes into making this projection. And if anything pops out as being significant, we'll include it on a future slide. So in summary, where are we? Again, orienting folks that haven't been following along on this particular slide from left to right. The leftmost column is a zero treatment of new revenue and what that deficit looks like. The middle column is the Act 1 index and what that Act 1 revenue does to the deficit. And then the third column to the right is the Act 1 index with the special education exception, and that 6.8 million I mentioned earlier, bringing the deficit down to a little over 3.1 million. The rightmost column is what is included in the packet tonight in the resolution. So in total, when you look at the resolution, the reason it's a different amount that was on the previous slide for expenditures is because it's the authorized spending amount, and the authorized spending amount has to include the entirety of what you're voting on, which is the contingency amount. So the contingency amount down on lines 9, 10, and 11, that 3 million, is added to the anticipated spending amount that's on line 5 in yellow. And that authorized spending amount that you're voting on this evening, it's on line 8, is that $196,416,000 number. The combination of the budgeted deficit at 3.1 million plus the 3 million is the combination of what makes up the fund balance commitment, and the revenue amount is the total amount of revenue that's represented on line 4, which is the budgeted revenue plus the Act 1 index and the special ed exceptions. So in your packet and on the board agenda is the resolution. Here it is in summary form. The red section of this particular slide are the numbers that I just reviewed, the revenue amount, the fund balance amount, and the appropriation amount, which is basically the authorized spending amount. So I'll stop here. There is an informational slide in here on the property tax rebate, and then there's also upcoming dates, getting shorter. There's only one more where we're going to be talking about the budget in a public meeting, unless we add something to the May agenda. Obviously, we'll still be discussing it in finance, but these are the public meetings for board after this meeting this evening. So I'll stop on the resolution and certainly welcome your questions.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. I will turn to the board and see if folks have questions. Yes, Ms. Audrain.
Yes, we've been hearing a lot of discussion about the funding from the federal government for education, and that's a really it's not an insignificant amount. It's over $1 million. But if we do not get that federal funding, what percentage would have to be made up either through the state or through the local taxpayer in order to compensate for any loss of federal funds?
Right. So there's been a lot of discussion about it at the state level too, and the state association, PASBO, has been generating some data, and they represent it as a percentage. It's 0.2% property tax increase would have to be added to be able to make up the amount of dollars that we're losing on the federal side, if that were to happen.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board for now?
Yes, President.
Oh, yes. Yes, Ms. Piccioni.
Just to add to what Ms. Audrain said, you will recall that at Budget Workshop number 2, when the CCIU came to talk about their budget and to get that approved, Mr. Joe Lipinski said that their federal grant money is in jeopardy. Quote.
Thank you, Ms. Piccioni. So the board now invites members of the audience to comment on this item. If you have comments or questions, please step to the microphone and identify yourself and township of residence. Okay. Seeing no comments on this item, I will turn to the board. See if we have any further comments from the board. Nope. See any? So I'll just add again, with the schedule again, we're still not at final at this point. That doesn't come until June. We have another finance committee meeting in between then, and another board meeting. So, there are going to be opportunities to refine and discuss the budget at all of those meetings. So, please stay engaged. So, with that, seeing no further comments, I will call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, ayes have it, 9-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the next item will be committee and ambassador reports. And our first report will be from the Policy Committee and Mrs. Susan Audrain.
Thank you, President Kantorsik. The Policy Committee met on April the 1st of 2025. The following policies and their accompanying regulations were discussed for review on a second reading basis and are on tonight's agenda for adoption. Policy and Regulation 1125, Complementary Admission to Events. Policy and Regulation 8080, Acceptable Use of Technology. In addition, the following policies and regulations were discussed. Policy and Regulation 1310, visitors entering district school buildings. There were no suggested revisions to the policy. The regulation was revised to further specify the procedures for visitors. Policy 1311, classroom visits and school building tours. The policy was discussed and will be brought back to a future meeting. Policy and Regulation 5403, allergies. There were no suggested revisions to the policy. The regulation was revised to include additional definitions and to clarify procedures for students with life-threatening allergies. Details were added regarding food action allergy emergency plans, individual health care plans, Section 504 service agreements, and individualized education plans as applicable. Policy and Regulation 5436, reporting suspected child abuse. There were no suggested revisions to the policy. The regulation was revised to further specify the procedures for making a report to Childline. Regulation 7040, use of district facilities. Regulation 7041, use of district facilities, Teamer Field. Fees and additional spaces for rental requests were updated in the appendices. The following policies and regulations did not have any revision or had non-substantive revisions, so they were marked as reviewed and posted. Policy and Regulation 1320, alcohol, possession and use, general public. Policy 1350, campaigning for public office on district property by non-students. Policy and Regulation 1411, surveys administered by the district or school officials. Further details will be provided later in the meeting regarding the policies listed on tonight's agenda for approval on a first reading basis. The next policy committee is scheduled for May the 6th at 7 p.m. at the district office.
Thank you, Ms. Audrain. Next, we'll have a report from the Diversity Committee and our liaison, Dr. Robert Singh.
Thank you, Mr. President. There were two committee meetings since our last board meeting. Our first meeting was on March 27th, 2025. This was on how teachers design and deliver lessons on the Berwyn school fight. The topic of the meeting was to discuss how the 3rd, 8th, and 10th grade social studies and history teachers design and deliver lessons on the Berwyn school fight. Ms. Ashley White, a 3rd grade teacher at Valley Forge Elementary School, and Ms. Krista D'Alessandro, a U.S. history teacher at Conestoga, did a wonderful job sharing their methods and insights on how they design and deliver lessons on this pivotal local event, and also shared the impact that these lessons have had on their students. And in addition, they passed around some samples of other books that they use in the classroom to support this lesson. Ms. White emphasized the importance of engaging 3rd graders by helping them see themselves in the material. She incorporates interactive techniques like posing questions, introducing new vocabulary, and teaching first-person narratives through the story of Miss Long, the last living student affected by the Berwyn school fight. Ms. D'Alessandro highlighted that the high school lesson ties into broader civil rights topics, such as school segregation, the Dahl test, and the Plessy versus Ferguson case. Her students participate in a gallery walk of local landmarks, and this year they had the opportunity to write letters and birthday cards to Ms. Long in celebration of her 100th birthday. Both teachers reported overwhelmingly positive student responses, with some students declaring these lessons their favorite and expressing amazement at learning about this local history. Many of the high school students say, quote, "I can't believe I didn't know about this," unquote. During the committee's closing discussions, they also explored ideas for expanding future lessons, such as incorporating the fight into research papers, addressing contemporary issues like school segregation, from examples in Texas, studying redlining in Philadelphia, and delving into the history of the Mount Pleasant community. Additionally, a special highlight of the meeting was hearing from a community member who was the first Black student to attend Valley Forge Elementary School, sharing personal reflections and perspectives. That was our conclusion of our March 27th meeting. Fast forward to last week, the District Diversity Committee met on April 22nd for the last meeting of this school year. The meeting began with a video of Hillside Elementary 3rd grade students celebrating the aforementioned Miss Long's 100th birthday. Miss Long was in attendance and was honored with poems, gifts, and cards from the students celebrating her impact and heroism that they learned during their lessons. The committee then reviewed student and professional staff demographics as part of an annual discussion. The committee shared their observations regarding the changing demographics of our students as well as our staff. Dr. Anthony Stevenson, our Director of Human Resources, provided an update on the professional staff selection process. He emphasized the importance of expanding the search for candidates by building relationships with universities and communities, both near and further out, to attract the best candidates, especially considering the declining number of Pennsylvania teaching certificates administered in the state. The meeting concluded with committee members providing potential topic ideas for next year's meetings, which will begin in the fall of this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. Next, we will turn to Finance and our chair, Dr. Roberta Hatinsky.
Thank you. We met on Monday, April 7th before the budget workshop, so we had a shorter meeting. We went over our year-to-date financial reports. Overall revenues are higher this year than last year by $7.9 million, with increases in compared to last year in real estate tax, real estate transfer tax, and interim real estate tax. Transfer tax collected is $614,000 more when compared to $614,000 more than compared to last year. Also, state and local revenue categories are higher than last year, and total revenue as of March 2025 is a little over $164 million. On the expense side, overall expenses and encumbrances compared to budget are almost the same as for last year percentage-wise. Year-to-date expenditures show that 66.4% of the budget has been expended so far. General fund expenses and encumbrances as of the end of March are $168,776,367.64. Next, we had an update from Ms. Nicole Roy, our Director of Special Education. She gave us an update on special education expenses, which she projects will be over budget by approximately $1 million for the year. So she was giving us a heads up about that. We'll continue to look at those expenses. I think about $200 where $200,000 was for tuition and $800,000 about in contracted services. So we'll continue to look at that as the year evolves, but we don't anticipate at this point revising next year's budget based on the overages for this year. Let's see. Then the next major part of the short meeting was presentation of the CCIU's 25-26 budget. So Dr. George Fiore and Mr. Joe Libitsky presented the budget to the committee, and the total budget for the CCIU is over $364 million. We contribute to that, but our total is on the about $7 million of that entire package. There's the core services budget and the occupational education budget, which are we're on the consent agenda this evening and are on page 93 of your agenda if you want to look at them. There was no increase in school district core budget contributions. The core services budget is determined by a state formula, is about $41 million with member district contributions from the county of $603,727, of which TE's part is $71,903 and has not changed since last year. The occupational education budget has a 4% increase in tuition. The total operational education budget is $34,527,909 with member contributions of $26 million, of which TESD's share will be $924,875, which is a $21,000 increase from this year, or 2.3%. So those two portions of the CCIU budget were on the consent agenda. In addition, we use marketplace services from the CCIU. There's an increase of 3.7% in marketplace services programs prices for Chester County school districts this year. Our total projected expenses, which are based on usage of the services, is about $6 million for next year. So the entire presentation on the CCIU budget is available in the finance agenda from last month. It was very interesting. They talked about different capital projects that they're undertaking and what kinds of programs our students are participating in. There are 73 TE students taking part in programs on the Brandywine and Pickering campuses. So if you are interested, please take a look. And they also shared with us that their career placement rates are among the highest in the state. When they put out a post-secondary survey, 80% of respondents were employed a year or two after graduation. So we're very pleased with that, those outcomes. So the committee recommended putting the budgets on the consent agenda for this evening, the core services and occupational education budget. So, as I said, they're there on page 93 if you'd like to have a look. Moving forward, as discussed, we will have our next finance meeting on Monday, May 12th, and there will be another one on Thursday, June 5th, which is right before we would pass the proposed final budget. So, all are welcome and encouraged to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hatinsky. Next, we'll go back to Dr. Robert Singh for a report on facilities.
Thank you. The Facilities Committee met on Tuesday, April 8th. There were a number of items on the agenda. First, we discussed the construction infrastructure projects for this summer 2025 at Beaumont, New Eagle Elementary Schools, TE Middle School, and the Conestoga High School. For HVAC renovations and upgrades, this remains on track with start times at the end of the school year this year on June 19th with projected finish date August 21st. These still remain the timeline. Also, interior and exterior renovations and upgrades for Beaumont, Devon, Hillside, New Eagle, TE Middle School, and CHS also remain intact. As part of the infrastructure budget, we have included Beaumont and Hillside Elementary Schools playground. Just as an update, that budget came in under 7% of its projected cost. The second item to be discussed was our athletic fields project. Currently, there are no issues on lead times from our prime contractors. The stormwater basins and drainage lines are being constructed, and site materials continue to be delivered. The public will notice significant change in the terrain with earthwork ongoing. As a reminder, the project video is posted on the district website. You can go to tesd.net. The quick links on the left side of the page, athletic field project, video of field project, spring 2025. We're committed to provide as much technology and surveillance of the project as it continues. The third item was the Bear Hill Elementary School update. As we all know, this is the new name of our school, and it will be referred to as such in all ongoing future communications. The pre-bid conference was held on April 4th. There were many contractors present, which was encouraging. What is not encouraging is the current state of macroeconomics and what raw material costs, including steel, will end up being passed on to taxpayers. Substantial demolition has been performed on all floors, and again, if you go to tesd.net, elementary school on the left, videos and timeline on the site, you'll be able to follow along as the project continues. The last item to be discussed was, actually not the last item, but the penultimate item to be discussed was infrastructure. It's important to remember as we build these new projects, we still have existing buildings and equipment that we need to maintain. We continue to be proactive, and projects for next year, which are mostly performed during the summer months, are discussed this year. So in light of the significant capital projects the district is currently involved in, the ongoing infrastructure for next year was prioritized to include 9 buildings and a district-wide project. If we were to include all changes with the proposed scope of work, that budget total would have been around $7.6 million. However, we pared this down to priorities, and this budget will be approximately $4.7 million. Our data communications district-wide project is the largest line item for next year. However, its importance cannot be understated. Essentially, these consist of the data center firewall, wireless infrastructure, and the phone system. It is an important part of district safety. Lastly, we had a spirited discussion on clarifying the capital sources and uses information table, and we'll update you on its progress. That concluded our meeting, and our next meeting of the Facilities Committee will be on Tuesday, May 13th at the TE Administrative Office Buildings at 7 p.m. All are invited to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. Next, I will turn to Vice President Teedy for a report on the Education Committee.
Thank you. The Education Committee met on April 3rd and discussed 2 topics related to Conestoga High School. Dr. Meisinger and Dr. Cerensek provided an update on the schedule change, which was initiated at the beginning of the current school year. Since 1992, Conestoga had operated with 8-period days. After a lengthy study, and with the goal of reducing student stress and enhancing overall well-being, the high school committee recommended a change to a 5-day rotation where 3 days of the week are comprised of 8 periods and 2 days have 4 lengthy periods and a lunch and learn opportunity for students. With support from the CCIU, a survey was conducted in March of 2025 to collect input from students, staff, and parents on the new schedule. Dr. Meisinger reported overwhelming support for the new schedule. The lunch and learn component is very popular and allows students to meet with peers, attend clubs, see teachers on a one-to-one basis, and complete work. Teachers are more easily able to support students and collaborate with their colleagues as well. The Schedule Committee will continue to monitor the new schedule and work to minimize any challenges that come up along the way. Dr. Toll then previewed Act 35 from the Pennsylvania Department of Education, which is a new requirement requiring all schools in Pennsylvania to provide a mandatory course in personal financial literacy. This will necessitate a revision of our graduation requirements so that all students who graduate in 2030 and beyond will have to take a one-semester half-credit course in financial literacy. Dr. Toll proposed that in the 2 credits of core elective, which are current graduation requirements, students take a half-credit course in financial literacy, and then 1.5 credits will be taken from technology, visual and performing arts, and family and consumer science. This change will affect the core and free electives, but will not add another 0.5 credit to the graduation requirements that exist today. Currently, 68% of Conestoga students take personal finance, so it is possible that with 100% of the students needing to take this course, we may need to add 0.5 additional staff to fulfill the state requirement. During the fall of 2025, regulations related to graduation will be revised, and the program of studies will be modified before it comes to the full board for approval. The new course requirement will go into effect beginning during the 26-27 school year. That concluded our meeting that evening. Our next meeting is May 22nd, and we hope all interested will attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Teedy. Next, we will get a report on our ad hoc legislative committee from Ms. Mary Ann Piccioni.
The Ad hoc Legislative Committee will meet on Tuesday, May the 6th at 6 p.m. in the TE Administration offices. This meeting will be held before the Policy Committee meeting. For your information, upcoming House Education Cyber Charter hearings. Beginning April the 25th, the House Education Committee will host its first of 3 separate informational hearings across the state on cyber charter schools, as the state considers additional cyber reforms. The hearings will be held in 3 separate regions across the Commonwealth. If you would like to watch the hearings, you can visit the Pennsylvania General Assembly website. House co-sponsorship memo highlights. Cyber Charter School Reform, HCO 2093, to address the urgent need to update the outdated charter school law by providing transparency and accountability for PA's cyber charter schools and reforming how cyber charter education is funded in the Commonwealth. Increasing efficiency and transparency in school transportation, HCO 1987. The legislation looks to update and streamline administrative requirements, collect necessary data, and establish a student transportation funding program to allow districts to apply for funding to help with the costs associated with transportation. Contact State Senator Carolyn Comita and State Representative Melissa Schusterman for more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Piccioni. Next, we will get a report on the Ad hoc Public Information Committee from Dr. Yolanda Allen.
Yes, the Ad hoc Public Information Committee has not met since our last meeting, so I have no report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Allen. And now, at the end, we'll go back to Ms. Piccioni for her report on the IU.
The Chester County Intermediate Unit Board of Directors held its monthly meeting on Wednesday, April the 16th at the Educational Service Center, Brandywine campus. The Chester County labor market continues to face workforce challenges due to low unemployment and competition for roles in high-needs special education settings. In response, CCIU has implemented aggressive recruitment strategies, including participation in job fairs, walk-in hiring events, and targeted social media outreach. CRESS, a partnership with CCIU, includes efforts to recruit and retain personal care assistants through incentive programs such as a $750 sign-on bonus and a $500 referral bonus. To further reduce entry barriers, CRESS covers the $125 clearance cost per applicant and is enhancing hiring processes with digital tools and targeted advertising. The Communications, Marketing, and Engagement Division has hosted 11 signature events for students from elementary through high school, including the Spelling Bee, Science Fair, Art Show, Reading Olympics, Knowledge Bowl, Shakespeare Festival, and more. These events promote academic growth, critical thinking, public speaking, collaboration, and real-world learning. Participation has grown significantly. Over 9,100 students from 189 schools took part in the 2024-25 events. CCIU's Leadership Development Program is aimed at growing and supporting aspiring leaders within the organization. The program's goal aligns with the broader organizational objective of fostering personal growth, development, and learning experiences that embrace dignity, well-being, and connectedness. The 2024-25 program involves a shift towards being driven by personal development goals and incorporates project-based learning and observational experiences, including leadership activities. The next CCI Board of Directors meeting will be held on Wednesday, May the 21st at 7:30 p.m. at the Coatesville campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Piccioni, and thank you to all our committee chairs and committee members for all their efforts as we do the business of the district. It's a huge commitment to be able to go to these committee meetings, and there's a lot of work that gets done there. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for participating in that. We'll move on now to other actions under consideration. Policies recommended for first reading. The action under consideration is that the Board of School Directors approves the following policies on a first reading basis as ready for adoption at the next regular meeting. Policy 4032, separation for cause, and policy 4460, tenure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
The proper first and a second, so I'll turn to Mrs. Audrain for additional context.
The revisions are very minor on both of these policies. It's more clarification than anything, so I really don't have anything further to discuss for these two policies.
Thank you, Mrs. Audrain. All right, I will turn to the board and see if there's any comment from the board. Seeing none, for now, the board now invites members of the audience to comment on this item. If you have comments or questions, please step up to the microphone and identify yourself. Excuse me. Okay, seeing none, I will ask if there are any further comments from the board. Right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed signify by saying nay. Ayes have it, 9-0. We are now at the point of the agenda for public participation from district residents and district taxpayers regarding non-agenda matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which are or may be before the board. Residents and taxpayers may now address the board on matters not included in the agenda. So you have a comment, please step to the microphone. Okay. Seeing none, the public comment periods for this evening are now closed. This is the point in our meeting when we make any announcements required by the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act. Our solicitor this evening is Christina Gallagher, and she will make any required announcements.
Thank you. The Board of School Directors last met in executive session this evening at 6 p.m. to discuss confidential student, litigation, and personnel matters.
Thank you, Ms. Gallagher. Future meetings, Tuesday, May 27th, 2025, regular school board meeting, 7:30 p.m. here at Conestoga High School. Monday, June 9th, 2024, another regular board meeting, 7:30 p.m. here at Conestoga High School. And that will be our last meeting of the school year. Additional information. Additional information, 2024-2025 student participation in spring sports is listed on page 137 of the agenda materials. Now we'll turn to the board and call for other announcements from board members. Yes, Mrs. Audrain.
Yes, I just wanted to provide an update on the TE School District Cardiac Emergency Response Team and Youth Heart Watch Awareness. One of our school nurse, TE school nurse facilitator, Leanne Corey's previous nursing experience was in the cardiac intensive care unit when she transitioned to school nursing at TE School District. And given her background, she wanted to bring this perspective to the school setting. And after researching different cardiac response frameworks, she identified the American Heart Association's Cardiac Emergency Response Team, CERT, as one that would fit well into the school setting. So 2 years ago, Erin McHale, certified school nurse at Valley Forge Middle School, and Leanne both became CPR instructors through the American Heart Association in order to support the implementation of the CERT teams throughout the district. With the assistance of Dr. Jackie Rothera, assistant principal at TE Middle School, they developed the TE School District CERT Plan, which was reviewed by the Director of Safety and Student Services, Dr. Chris Groppe, the TE School District Physician, Dr. Scott Pugh, and the Director of Berwyn EMS, Mike Baskin. As they developed the plan, they learned about the Youth Heart Watch program at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Youth Heart Watch is an affiliate of Project Adam and works through CHOP. Their mission is to provide sudden cardiac death procedures among children and teens by having automated external defibrillators in every school and social setting. YHW helps schools, recreation programs, youth sports programs, and other places where children gather to obtain training and access to AEDs. In addition, they offer CPR and AED training. They shared their plan with the program coordinator, Lindsay Flanagan, for review and approval. They recruited staff and trained the first team in both CPR and CERT procedures at TE Middle School in the winter of 2023. Each team consisted of at least 10 team members, administrators, principals, assistant principals, nurses, teachers, paraeducators, and administrative support staff, with the intent of at least half of the team being able to respond when an overhead call for the team is placed. Lindsay Flanagan was president at the TE Middle School first drill in the spring of 2023. Additional teams at TE School District schools were trained during the 2023-2024 school year. Over the past 2 years, Erin and Leanne conducted 10 training sessions to CPR and certify over 120 TE School District personnel. Each school conducts 3 to 4 drills per year using realistic school setting scenarios for both child and adult patients and a practice mannequin and AED. Some are announced and at least one is not announced. The goal of the drill is to have an AED on scene with the first shock delivered to the victim in 3 minutes or less. After each drill, the teams discuss what went well, opportunities for improvement, and future procedures that they can improve, the speed and flow of the drill. They also record data from each drill to chart response times and completed procedures. In April of 2024, TE Middle School received the first YHW certification of a heart-safe school in Chester County. Since then, all TE School District schools have received the certification. These efforts further enhance the ability to safely care for students and staff, and we are grateful for the collaboration with CHOP and Project Adam and the support of the TE School District community. I want to commend Leanne for her vision of the CRT program and for her collaboration with other colleagues and administrators to bring this plan to fruition, to provide a safer environment within all of our district school buildings now. Congratulations to this innovative team. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that update, Mrs. Audrain. I mean, this is a great example of our staff being proactive, seeing a need and using their passions and seeing it through and working with other folks within the district to really improve our district to the benefit of the safety of our students and staff. So really thank you for that update, and thank you to all who participated in this vital program. And so thanks again. With that, do we have any other announcements from the board? Seeing none, if folks want to see correspondence that the board has received, I'll direct everybody's attention to page 138 of the agenda. And with that, we are at the adjournment part of the meeting, so I will call for a motion to adjourn. Do you have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, you can stay here. Ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.